Not too long ago, I decided to give myself a week to try and improve my anatomy and life drawing skills, and here's how that went. So on day one, we started off with a page of pretty quick figure sketches just to see where I was at currently, and I wanted to do something that wasn't going to be too difficult, and I've done plenty of figure sketches and gestures over the months by now. I think that these turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with a lot of these. I also did some simple full body breakdowns. I drew over a few pictures, just breaking down the anatomy into simple shapes, and then redrew them next to those pictures or poses or whatever. I wanted to break them down into shapes that were relatively simple for me to understand and that made sense to me, so that for me to be able to learn how to draw, I need the shapes to make sense so that I can looking at a pose in my mind imagine those later on. On day two, I decided that I'd dedicate the next few days to individual elements or parts of studying the anatomy. So day two was arms and hands, and for the arms element, very simple honestly. Arms and legs are pretty simple. They're just cylinders with a little bit of curviness to them. Nothing really hard. So it was very easy to get this done. And hands, didn't really struggle with them at all. I think that the part that I find challenging with hands is heavily stylized ones, because with ones that are more realistic, it makes a lot more sense, and everything is more the same. I don't really know how to describe it, but it just makes more sense to me. But with more stylized ones, I feel it's harder to get the look I'm going for. We're on day 3, and today I focused on legs and feet, and similarly to hands, this wasn't really difficult for me at all. Yeah, legs are just tubes basically, and feet, I don't know, they're pretty intuitive. I feel not really that difficult to draw for me. The same thing as with hands. I think where the problem is stylized feet and shoes as well. I feel shoes and perspective. I think that that's where I find it more difficult to draw feet. So I feel maybe doing studies of stylized feet, trying to figure out my style, and then once I have the general gist of, or even just taking other people's art that they've done and specifically focusing in on the feet and how they draw feet, and just doing a ton of studies of that. And also with hands, I feel that could probably help more than realism, because I don't really want to draw realistically anyway. So focusing more on stylized feet and stylized hands, I feel that would help me more than this. But I think that all of these sketches and breakdowns and stuff turned out pretty well, so yeah. It's day 4 and we're looking at torsos. I did break down a set of female ones a while back, so it is kind of interesting to compare those with these ones. I think that the biggest difference that I noticed are the shoulders. For these, they take up more space on the body and sort of eat into the chest area, whereas on the female ones, they're smaller and they're more add-ons. On the male ones, the back is wider at the top because of the shoulders, and it's more of not a triangle, but trapezium, I think that's the word, an inverted one of those. And then on the female torsos, the arms seem thinner and longer and the back smaller because of the way the shoulders are. Yeah, I think that breaking down the upper half of the body is important to me because I am gonna probably be doing a lot more drawing, sketches, whatnot of like busts, portraits, upper body, like half body, whatever, rather than like full bodies. Obviously I wanna work on all of that, but focusing in more on the upper body makes sense because that's what I'm gonna be drawing more. So it's important to have a good understanding of that. And I think that these sketches, breakdowns turned out alright. And yeah. So day 5 definitely did not get off to the best start. I had an attempt at doing a few sketches of the back, like focusing on looking into the muscles of the back and how that works, but it did not turn out great. I hated every element of that. I think that they all turned out like that. And so instead of spending day 5 on another part of the anatomy, which would have been the back, I decided to try something else, and instead we did some lighting and form studies. The reference I used for the studies were the same ones that Blue Biscuits used in their video, because I thought that they were good, and this activity was the same one that like they included in their video, and I thought that it was a good thing to do, so I did it as well. And unlike them, painting isn't really what I want to do, but I think that this is a pretty good exercise for like understanding form, volume, all of that of the body, and seeing it more in like a 3D space rather than just looking at it in 2D. Day 6, and we're back to doing full body breakdowns, though this time they were more complicated and like the poses were more complex and stuff than like the ones that I did at the start of the week. I think that they all turned out pretty good, and I am happy with how they turned out and I was able to do them. But I also was like, when I was doing them, I was starting to feel like I wasn't really getting anything out of this week. I felt like I probably could have done all of this like a week, a month, whatever beforehand, and that I hadn't really learned anything specific or like gained anything. And like I know that's dumb, like it's practice, like every time I practice something it'll be easier to do it again, and like it'll be easier to do it without like reference and stuff, but it just felt like, yeah, I don't know, I only ended up getting 5 breakdowns in because of all of that feelings, even though I probably could have gotten more in, but I'm glad I at least got these done. So we finally got into the last day, day 7 of this week-long challenge thing, and I decided to go back to one of the first exercises I did and do some figure drawings of a bunch of different poses. So I did take a bit more time on these than back on like the first day, and I think that they turned out pretty damn good. The poses I picked were harder than the ones I had picked initially, and it was fun to do all of them. Having said that, I definitely do need a break from art. Like next week I am planning to like do stuff completely unrelated to drawing. Every day I want to like try out something different. I'm gonna vlog it and stuff and just like try out doing a bunch of different things just to get a break from this form of art and like explore more and see what I like that outside of it, because I think that would be really good for me. Anyway, my favorite poses were definitely the 2 in the middle. I think that they were really cool. I like the energy in them, and yeah, I like how expressive they are and everything. And then I also attempted to do another lighting study, but I feel like it wasn't that great. It didn't turn out as good as the ones I'd done a few days ago, so we can just skip that. I'm really happy with the sketches and like figures I did, so we can just focus on that. And yeah, that's everything I did this week for this like challenge thing. I hope you take something away from watching this, maybe an idea for how to study anatomy yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye!